Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase podcast. Today we are talking with Stacy Sam Lenae, and Stacy is a reality creation and spiritual mentor. Welcome to the show, Stacy. I'm so glad you made it.
Hi, I am too. It's so good to be here. I'm looking forward to this.
So, what is it that you do? How do you help people create their reality? How do you mentor them spiritually? How does all this look? And how'd you get started?
Let's see. How did I get started? I guess I'll start there. I was an Army wife. I was married. I had the house. I had the cars. I had the kids. I had the dogs. I had all the things. I was a stay-at-home mom. And I knew I was meant for more. I often like to say I felt like I needed to unzip my skin and step out. But I just kept getting so much shame and guilt about that. You know, you should be so grateful. You should be appreciative. Do you know how many people would kill to be in your shoes? But yet I was so unhappy and depressed and weathered multiple deployments. And long story short, I woke up one day and was like, I am not being true to myself. I can't keep doing this. I have two daughters who are looking up to me, and I've made some radical changes from how I was raised, and I have to do something. And my now ex-husband and I were on pretty good terms at that point, and he had been gone for the majority of our relationship and their lives, and he agreed to let me have a break, if you will. I bought a one-way ticket. I went to California. I met somebody, and then we started cross-country parenting where my kids would come back and forth. And in this journey, I found myself on the side of a mountain with a woman in California, and she said, "I don't think you know who you are. I don't think you know how powerful you are." And she asked me if I knew somebody named Amy Allen. I said I'd never heard of her. She's a great psychic medium. She had a television show. And she said, my partner at the time said, "You're gonna sit here on the side of this mountain and we're gonna learn to meditate." And that's how it all started. So through that, I started digging into YouTube. You know, it's like books fell off the shelves at your feet magically, and people appeared, and, you know, the signs, the synchronicities, which I didn't know at that time, didn't understand to the degree that I do now. I was raised very Catholic. I have a lot of deprogramming to do, Midwestern, good girl, people pleasing Catholic, and Army wife, and all the things. And so the deprogramming began. That was probably, I think it's like 6 or 7 years ago now. And I found this woman on YouTube. Her name's Renee Garcia, and she brought a book. I think she translated it, I don't remember now, by Vadim Zeland, called Reality Transurfing. And she has hundreds, probably thousands of videos on YouTube. And I don't know, it just hit. And it was, you know, you are the creator of your reality. You are not subject to fate and to chance. And, you know, it's all an interesting perspective, right? Like, I don't hardly ever believe in anything. I trust my gut. And I just jumped into this. I bought the book. I kept listening, and I thought, man, I can control so much more than what you're taught, right? Like, you're taught that you've got to do A, B, and C. And so I started studying her stuff. I purchased her programs. I bought the book by Vadim Zeland. I watched all her books, and my career, if you will, I had been a personal trainer and a coach for women and soldiers in the gym for a really long time. But what was funny was I realized they mostly came to me. Yes, they wanted to get fit, but most of them came in a poopy mood and left in a great mood. And I was more of a therapist than I was an ab specialist, if you will. And I realized, man, there's so much more to this. And I went ahead and I got my master's in sport and health science, and I got all these certifications to be a personal trainer. And I realized as the evolution continued, I could teach these people how to completely change their lives because they're coming to me so unhappy, so unsatisfied. Um, and they mirror me. Like, you never attract anybody that doesn't mirror you, in my interesting perspective. So all these people were mirroring or having similar experiences. And I was like, I may still train people in the gym, but I want to start giving people the tools that I had to go searching for. Like, if these people are coming to me, why not give them the tools, or at least teach them and show them something new? And so that's the direction I've taken it. And it just lights me up, feeds my soul. And I love to watch the evolution that happens with these people on their own journey. So
It's so interesting how people with similar backgrounds come into our periphery. It's like,
it never ceases to blow my mind.
I too was a military wife at one point. Totally get it. No longer married to that person. Totally get it. I was raised by a naval officer, and then I married a subsailor. And it was I was young. I was very young, but you live in kind of an isolated bubble when you're a military wife. They have their own little cliques of things that they're going to do, and it's really bad if you don't fit into those cliques because it's really lonely.
It is, and I was on the officer side of it, and the Army doesn't care about the spouses. It just really doesn't. The Army is an entity. And they like to joke, the Army would have issued you a wife if they wanted you to have a wife. Well, I was in the Army too. I did 3 years and I got out and followed my husband. But I felt like the Army not only controlled his life, but mine, because I was then given duties. As an officer's wife, you're expected to have teas and coffees. And I was like, that is not the script I wanted to play. I don't want to be that person. I'm not. And I did for a while, but I was miserable. I would go to the Bible studies and I would do, the white gloves and the teeth, not literally white gloves, but that's the perception.
Pretty close. Yeah. My mom went through the same thing. It was, there were expectations and she hated it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anybody that I participated with, for the most part, yes, we were grateful as the wives, which is that we could unpack, but to have a group of other like-minded people when you move as much as we did. However, it was also filled with drama and chaos in the Army, jerking our soldiers and husbands around. I mean, it was not something you ever pay me to go back and do.
And the constant idea that, your husband could be killed.
Yeah.
Because that's a reality of, the being in the military. That's your job. Yeah. You try not to.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the reality every day. And I weathered 2 12-month plus deployments, then multiple stateside longer trips. They called them, some of them stateside deployments, trips to Korea. Like, he just was never around. And it takes more of a toll than you could ever tell somebody, I think, that if they've never been through it.
Yeah, my husband used to go out on patrol and he'd be gone for 6 months at a time. And that was before cell phones and internet. So we had like a 10 I think it was like 10 or 20 words that we could put on this piece of paper, and they would signal it out to the ship. They called them something or another. I can't remember what they were, or out to the boat. And you couldn't, it was basically everything's fine. Love you. Bye. Once a month for 6 months. That was all your communication with your spouse. And we didn't live on the base, so I didn't really have any support around that. And I knew that I didn't want to be part of that community because that
Mhm.
was just like too weird for me, having been the
Yeah.
child on that side. But yeah, it's just a whole different world that most people they don't understand. And it's not the same as being in the military to be the spouse of somebody in the military.
Yeah, no, and I always said I was so glad that I was in for 3 years because I understood differently than wives and spouses who hadn't been in. But man, you couldn't pay me to go back. No way. I'm like, oh, and my youngest daughter is considering some sort of military. And I'm like, oh my God, and I know with children, if you tell them, oh, I don't want you to do that, it pushes them further towards what you don't want. So I just let it ride in hopes that, she finds something else to do with her life than that. But
My oldest daughter did join the military. It was the best thing she ever did. She joined the army. She was in for
mhm,
2 years, right when 9/11 happened.
yeah.
Um, in fact, she was in boot camp when 9/11 happened, and her first name is Christopher.
Oh,
Imagine how great life in the army was. Um, but she ended up getting out after a couple of years because she was a cook and she had cysts on her hands and she couldn't carry the trays around. But
yeah.
um, she got disability for it, and she was honorably
Good.
discharged. And it is really shaped and flavored the whole rest of her life, which has helped her so much. So, even if your daughter does decide to join, it's not the end of the world.
No, I definitely know there's much worse. I mean, I threw my family for a loop. I never had any intention. I joined on a whim, an absolute whim. So I know she's got to make her own decision. She's got her own life path. I just sit here as mom and smile.
Yeah, and sometimes you know what the end result of what they're going to do is going to be, but you really can't tell them because it's not your place to tell them. They're going to
Yeah.
have the journey that they're going to have. They came here for a reason, and
And they're on their
everything
own
has
life
led
path.
them
Yeah. Yep.
to that place. So let's talk about what you do with your coaching program.
Sure. I would love to segue out of the military. It makes me feel icky. Yeah, what can I tell you? What would you?
Well, I know that you do a couple different modalities. Do you do it in groups? Do you do it one-on-one? How does it look when somebody comes to work with you, and why would somebody want to come to work with you?
So right now I do one-on-one coaching, and that's for people who want to get very specific, who want to have a lot of one-on-one intimate time with me, who want to do an hour and a half Zoom calls every week, and who want um, 5 days a week access to me on like a WhatsApp or something where they have consistent access because they're just tired of playing small and they want to change their lives. That's the one on one. And that's really catered individually. Everybody comes to me with different things. So it's really based off of, are they trying to build their business? Are they wanting to be an entrepreneur? Are they a stay at home mom and they're just miserable and need somebody who's been there, done that to guide them, to give them things? So that's the one-on-one coaching. And I offer it 3, 6, and 9 month programs for that.
Mhm.
Then, and I love one-on-one. It is, I couldn't pick between one-on-one, but I have group coaching as well. And I'm doing a reality shifting group coaching right now.
Mhm.
And I love to do partners. So husband, wife, partnered people, however they come to me. That is my favorite because I love to watch the shifts that can happen. And I feel like in what I do, in the coaching that I do, because it can be so radical. And once you've seen, you can't unsee. Sorry. It's like once you remove the veil, it's over. I don't feel like it's fair when you do it with just one partner or the other. It's so much better to be inclusive of that. So right now we're doing reality shifting, which is realizing who's in control, that you're in control, and that changing your reality is not hard. We are often, I believe, in society led to believe that it's hard. We are wanted to be kept in the matrix to fulfill what is set out there. I'm sure there's a better word than that, but
Easier to control us.
yes, easier to control us, to keep us small, to not let us realize you were here for greatness. You are your own creation. Um, and you can do whatever you want. So that's what I do is I coach them through, and what's really funny is to watch the aha moments. And it happens whether it's one-on-one or group coaching. Um, the aha moments of like, oh my God, this stuff is no brainer. Why aren't we talking about it? Like self-care, doing stuff that brings joy. Um, loving yourself, changing your verbiage, just little bitty tweaks that can completely change, your reality, understanding that you have choice. Understanding what you say is as critical and important as what you think, because it's all energy. So that is what I do. I just help people remove the veil and understand. And I love to change their verbiage when they say I can't. And I'm like, but what if we said it this way? And then I'm an intuitive, I'm an empath, I'm a psychic medium. I do all of that, and that is all incorporated in what I do. So I bring that out, which adds a whole special note to what we do. And it's really fun. I absolutely get so much joy out of helping people realize their potential. So.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot. It's so fun to watch people just break out and blossom. And I love that you do it with couples. It is really hard when there's only one in a relationship that recognizes that things have shifted and that they are changing. And when
Yeah.
the other one isn't along for the journey, it's like dragging an anchor.
Yeah,
It's super
completely.
hard.
And
Or
that's,
you
I
have
mean,
to just like change altogether.
yeah, it often, it leads to, I don't need to tell you what it leads to. It can lead to divorce. It can lead to discontent. I mean, it definitely isn't a loving situation that's created. So I love to be able to work with the couples, because I've been there, like my first marriage to the soldier. I mean, I had a therapist, this was back before I knew any of this, who said, is it possible you've outgrown him? Like I was propelling forward into all of this, and I had. And then I was married for 7 years to my now ex-wife, and she just stopped. She just didn't want to know or study. And she was very much stuck in drinking and alcohol, and she was truly an alcoholic. And I was involved in that, and I drank a lot for years and years, and I was like, man, this is not propelling me. I'm stagnating. So I had the wherewithal to step out of that, and it's been a year now. And I'm partnered, but I'm single and I have no desire to get married, but I'm with somebody who's like, hey, if you listen to something, send it to me. I want to know about it. Let's talk about it. Like, even if we don't agree, we still have it present. So I realize the importance of that in a relationship, whether there's agreement or not. It doesn't really matter if you can converse.
Yeah. And be curious instead of dogmatic about things. That it's so hard when you're locked into a paradigm that makes you play small and and tells you things that just aren't true. Really,
Mhm.
nothing is true or not true. It's just what you accept
Yep.
into your thoughts that determine your reality. It's really that simple, but
It really is. And I love to blow the minds of my clients when I tell them, you are looking at a reformed, epic pessimist. I used to build situations up to be the worst they could be. Like I had to go see my mother-in-law, because I have two kids and my husband and blah, blah, blah. And I would create these gargantuan scenarios in my head of how bad it was going to be. and it would always be that bad or worse, you know? And I think, man, if I had only known, how could I have affected that? But I like to tell my clients, like, I used to be that person. I was the glass half empty. And they look at me like I've grown a third eye, like, you know, but it's true. It's just a rework of the brain. And surrounding yourself with people who you can have the conversations with is surely helpful. But yeah, quite the change I've made.
I congratulate you on the embracing sobriety. I recently
Oh,
did too.
congratulations to you as well.
It was surprisingly not difficult.
Yep,
I
I know.
It was just like a decision I made, and I don't miss it. And alcohol's still around me. It's just like, I don't. I prefer not to. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not that I can't. I have to quit. I just chose to be sober for a while.
yeah. And
It's
that's looking at it, just, you know, if I want to go have a really nice glass of wine with a really nice dinner and I want to do it, fine. But, you know, no more 1 to 2 bottles of wine a night, no more trying. And that was when I was married to my ex-wife, but no more trying to figure out what store was open to get alcohol. And, you know, it was like, man, what's possible if I stop drinking, you know? And
mhm. It does feel
I,
good. It's like kind of a interesting door that opens. I was gonna mention something else and it just eluded me. It had to do with creating your reality and changing your mindset. I don't know. I don't know where it went. Just
sounds just like me.
I know you do a lot of things with tarot cards and oh, I know where I was going. It has to do a lot with releasing old paradigms. I too used to be very pessimistic about the trajectory of the world. Like I
Yes.
sat with the world is going to end today or tomorrow,
Yep.
every day.
Yep.
And I was a prepper and it was just like it was spinning out of control until COVID hit. And once COVID hit, it was just like this is the thing that I have been fearing, and I was living in fear all of this time. And it's got this silver lining of people stepping out and doing something, being different, stepping against the grain. It's okay. You don't have to be the same as everybody else. And the world doesn't have to end just because the Bible said it was going to. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
just put it. I bought into that for a long, long time. And one day I just decided this is ridiculous. This is not serving me and it's making my life miserable. And I just closed the door on it. And I found all of these people that are doing these amazing things, and I get to have conversations with them every day. And my life, my reality changed, and my life is happier, and I expect good things. And I really look at the world like we're going in a good direction. These
Yep.
coaches are making a huge difference in what's
Yep.
going on. So,
Yeah. It's really interesting because I grew up in a family that's they don't talk to me ever since I came out and married a woman. I lost most of my family, but I know that they're ultra religious for the most part. I would call them ultra religious. My
mhm,
brother is a prepper. Um, and it's the fear and the news and all these things. And the one thing that, and there are so many wisdom nuggets in reality transurfing, but the one that made me, that came to mind when you were talking is evidence to support all theories.
mhm,
If you believe the world's coming to an end, you will absolutely find evidence to support that theory. If
mhm,
you believe the world's freaking good and life is good, and yeah, there are bad things that happen, but I'm going to focus on the good, you're going to continue to find evidence to support that theory. You have to decide what theory do you want to live in and then think about it. You know?
yeah. and look for evidence to support your theory, and you will find it, and your
Yep.
life will be so much better.
Yep.
You
It's
don't
mind
have
blowing. It's so simple. And we're not taught that. We're taught watch the news. Don't tap out of the news. What do people say to you if you say I don't watch the news? They're like, oh my God, you're so uninformed. You should vote. No, no, no. You know, the old rhetoric. Like, no, man. I unplugged my
yeah.
TV. I'm great. And call me delusional, call me checked out. I don't care. Anything you say about me is just a projection of you, Don Miguel Ruiz. Nothing you say about me is about me. It's about you. I don't care what you say. Have your opinion. I don't care. I'm happy.
Yeah, I can choose to enjoy every day, every moment.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be anything. It can just be.
Yep. Yep. I couldn't agree more. And I love it. And that is why I teach it, because we need that message to get out more. And it's not, you're not going to find it on TV. You're not, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know. I don't watch TV, but you know, it's just not out there as much as I would like to see it be out there, you know? So, and because I have a 19 and 15-year-old daughters, and I think it's important, and I don't want them to have to, you know, not know these things. Like I didn't know them when I was their age. It's valuable information.
I think my experience is that the younger people actually are aware of some of this stuff a lot more than when we were young. They they just look at the world in a different way. And maybe it's just the young people I know that are in their teens, that they just seem to let life be good. It's they just it's not super important that we go out and push really hard and accomplish all these things that really don't have any significance. Or maybe it's because of video games or the online communities that are out there, that where reality is really, it's kind of ethereal. It's more ethereal for people that game and live in that other world than it is for people that haven't ever experienced alternate realities.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's interesting because I do work with, well, I have worked with some of the younger. I feel so old when I say that now. I'm like, I'm not old enough to say that, but I do work with 20 somethings, and it is vastly different. I think my kids kind of shelter what I get to see because I'm mom, right?
Mhm.
Um, but dad is also, their dad is a self-described narcissistic sociopath. He sent me a book called The Sociopath Next Door. So they get this really jaded outlook on life. And then they've got mom saying, well, what about this? So I hope that, you know, with my kids that I plant the seeds, but I can definitely relate to what you're saying, because my partner right now, funnily enough, they're not going to be happy I say this, but um, they're 15 years younger than me. And there's a big difference in their outlook on life and then what I was raised with and how I see things and how easy and laissez-faire things can be. And they were a gamer, or yeah, I don't think they play games anymore, but it's interesting. I agree with you.
I don't think there's really not a lot of good and bad or should or shouldn'ts in the world. And I think the more that we move away from the good bad paradigm, the freer people are to create a reality that aligns with who they decided to become when they came here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Now it's funny to try to get somebody to another favorite thing I like to do is like, now you decided to come here. You decided to my interesting perspective. I never make them believe anything I believe, but
Mhm.
you know, you chose this reality and you chose to incarnate with these people. And you know, I chose to come on this podcast with you well
Mhm.
before I ever put foot on the earth. And it's interesting to get people to think about the possibilities of, well, if I chose to come here, what else did I choose? And how does that affect me now? You know, just to expand their minds is a lot of fun.
Our realities are just the manifestation of thoughts that we've had up to this point, the decisions we've made get us to where we are in any, if we find ourselves in a bad situation, according to ourselves, not outside external forces, then we can make different decisions and we will have a different outcome. That's the way reality does work.
Yeah, completely. And that's one thing that I like to teach in my courses and like just on social media is materialization, which is how reality transurfing looks at it, as opposed to manifestation, which whatever, it's a word is a word is a word is a word. We can attribute whatever meaning we want to it, but calling it, what you want. I have become a master materializer. I can create anything I want. And it's still like, I know that I'm really good at it, and it still blows my mind. Like, I set a goal of I work with a financial coach, and I wanted to be able to be an energetic match for and hold $10,000 a month. And it started in the first part of October. And I was like, I could hold $3,000. I know that, I could hold $3,000 a month. And within a week less, I had a check for $3,700. I was like, oh, that was way too easy. Okay, what am I capable of holding now? And it went up to I was like, okay, $5,000. Then I had 2 people sign on, and that threw me well over $5,000. And I have about $3,000 left. But if you count the fact that I have materialized a $8,000 car that's being shipped across the country for me free, I may have hit that $10,000 mark.
Yeah.
And it's just a reworking of the brain, and it's a belief. It's believing that you can do it. Like you are the most powerful, my coach likes to say, the most powerful entity in your own reality.
You are, because you're constantly creating your own reality, however that looks.
Yeah.
I know that you have a 3-part series that's available on your website called How to Ground, Surround, and Cord Cut. Want to talk about that for a sec?
Yeah.
A few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to offer free stuff. I love to build like, know, and trust with my people so that they can understand who I am. And I thought, what is really important? If somebody came to me and said, what is one thing I can do today that I could teach them really quick? What would I teach them? What is something that they could learn that they would need extensive training on, which I don't think there really is much of that, but ground, surround, protect, and cord cut. And that's what I decided to put out. It's a 3-part series on what is grounding versus earthing, different ways that you can ground and why you should ground, how to do it, and where to do it. I don't know how long the videos are. I think they're maybe 10 minutes a piece. They're short, they're digestible, and they're easy to do. So there's a grounding one. Then a surround and protect is one of my favorites, because I am so sensitive, and I am an empath, and I can walk into a store and be like, oh my God, what did I do? Why did I come out of the house today? A protection, a white light protection. It doesn't have to be white light. It can be anything. It's a protection. Again, how do I protect? Why do I protect? When should I do this for myself? And how to do it for others. And then cord cutting, which is something that I learned in the last few years, probably 3 years ago, from my coach. And it's a really interesting concept and can produce amazing results. If you look at it like every person, place, thing, or idea that you've ever interacted with in your entire life, if you've never cord cutted before, everything and everyone has sent you this little thin etheric cord, and you are attached to all those people, places, things, and ideas to your body. Neither good nor bad, neutral. It's just a thing. You have these energetic attachments. And I teach you how to remove those so that you call back all the pieces unto yourself. And you can do it as often as you want. There are no negative side effects. There's nobody you shouldn't cord cut. I cord cut my children every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on the phone calls I get. And it's just about how to cord cut to protect your energy, to come back into a whole you. And so that's what these 3 quick, easy, digestible ground, surround, protect, and cord cut courses are for, so that people can. And I thought, man, this is the time of year, if anybody's celebrating, we're going into the holiday season here in America, like this is a good time to learn these and do it with a quickness. So that is actually out on the website right now.
I think I'll go do it.
Let me know what you think. It's one of my favorites.
I will. So this has been amazing, Stacy. I really am glad that you were able to meet me here.
Me too.
So what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with today?
Oh man, you are absolutely the strongest entity, the strongest person that there is in your reality. And you have untapped potential and power beyond what you've probably ever been told. And I would love to be able to teach you how to tap into that, or just go look at all my free stuff. Just start to believe that you can do it. Start there. Simple step. I am the strongest entity in my reality, or change the word to whatever you want if you don't like the word entity. But just start with the little nuggets. It doesn't have to be a marathon. It can be a slow walk to get you there. I mean, I've been doing this for 7 years. And it's a journey, but I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. So.
And we all are.
We are. We absolutely are.
Thanks again for joining me.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.